Alright, time for another comic review, and it's another book from my good friend Chris, aka the Mount Vernon Kid. Chris, thank you once again for these comics. And moving right along through the Marvel Hall, we have X-23, Deadly Regenesis. This is another book which is written by Erica Schultz, with artwork by, just looking it up, Edgar Salazar, and colors by Carlos Lopez. Hey! Peoples whose names I have no fear of not butchering. Yay! Anyway, so this is another Lost Stories kind of thing that Marvel has been doing, which I've been really enjoying, these harmless, Lost in Time kind of Marvel books that I've been really talking about, like the Venom book that I had done yesterday. I had done a review on that. So let's talk about this one. This is, if you're wondering where in X-23's timeline this is set during the Utopia era of X-Men, where this is obviously during Dark Reign, where, or somewhere post-Dark Reign. It's never really specific. But basically, in the Utopia era, the X-Men went to war against Norman Osborn and his Dark Avengers, leading to them using Asteroid M, pulling it up, and basically making a small island nation of it. Before Krakoa, there was Utopia. So during that time, Laura, who was going by the name X-23, she left X-Force for a short time to kind of get her head straight, like kind of figure out, like, who am I, specifically? So this is kind of dealing with those lost days for Laura. So yeah. So Laura is kind of trying to figure herself out, where she is, where she fits in the X-Men community, the mutant community, as well as, am I still a hero even though I've done bad things? X-Force has done good things, but they killed people. Are they still good people? I don't know. Like, it's very much those questions. But along the way, she gets cornered by a new villain called Haymaker, who they have been trained by her arch nemesis, or X-23's arch nemesis, Kimura, who was her handler during her time with the facility, which they call. So yeah, this is more or less dealing with Kim. And for those wondering, Kimura was killed during, I believe she was killed during the all-new Wolverine run by Tom Taylor. During Enemy of the State 2, Laura drowned her to death. Like, basically just held her down until she drowned. So this is dealing with that. Now, Haymaker, they're basically, and their pronouns for wondering, it's they, them. So they are basically a boxer who's really good at a kickboxer, who's really good. He's kind of strong, but there's really nothing to him. He's just kind of there to get Laura back in Kimura's clutches. This also deals with that Kimura is now working for Kingpin, which is also kind of treated as a big reveal, even though we see Kingpin at the beginning of the story. So when they try to build him up as like, ooh, who's this mystery benefactor for Kimura and the facility? Like, it's Kingpin. We know it's already Kingpin. You already spoiled the beginning of this book. And this is basically a time period, even though, yes, while I am liking these Lost Tales kind of stories, the problem with this is that it's not really doing anything that, and it does reference the NYX time, which was kind of a god-awful book that treated Laura like a prostitute. It was as a child prostitute. If I remember it right, I think it was Joe Quesada that was like, yeah, let's make these young female characters like, child prostitutes or something like that. And I do remember there was a lot of, it was a very awful book, but, kudos to Schultz for, referencing those books. The book basically, like I said, hasn't really done anything that didn't do anything already with the X-23 books before the Tom Taylor era of the all-new Wolverine era with Tom Taylor, where in those books Laura had healed. She was learning to be a big sister to her clone sister, and also taking on Wolverine's role as, obviously, Logan's role as Wolverine. But here it's like it's all the same comic where it's like, oh, I don't know who I am, and I don't know if I can be more than a murderer or anything, and only Wolverine understands me. It's like, yeah, it's nothing we haven't really done before. And the comic isn't really, like I said, Haymaker isn't that interesting of a character himself, and he also is like, I don't like you. And I trust Kimura. And then she kills someone right in front of him and is like, oh my god, Kimura's a bad guy? I'm like, shut the fuck up. They're not very bright. And again, so this is kind of a weaker of the two books. The artwork is decent for what it is. It does give that early 2000s feel. But really, as a fan of X-23, I was just like, it's nothing big. Kimura, it's like, it just reminds you how much you hate. If you've read X-23 books, then you know how much Kimura sucks as a villain. Not as like she just is a nothing villain. She's just a horrible bitch of a human human being, and you're also, every time you read this, it's like, you're gonna drown and die screaming underwater in a few years. So, get used to that. But yeah. Anyway, so there you go, guys. It's decent. It's a decent enough book. If you are a major X-23 fan, I would say give this a shot. But this isn't a place you would start with X-23. But yeah, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of X-23 Deadly Regenesis? And Chris, thank you once again for the book. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.